Good evening, everyone. Good evening, salam alaikum. Good afternoon for the guys joining from the other part of the world. Welcome to IOSH Oman Branch event for 21-22. The theme for today's event is Enhanced Occupational Health and Safety. Just as a housekeeping, please keep your mics muted. You can turn your camera on or off. Turn to the speaker view so that you can focus on the presentation. You can type your questions or feedback during the session in the chat box. I'll be taking these questions at the end of each presentation. If we have an opportunity to discuss, only one speaker at a time, so that we can overcome the challenges of virtual meetings, and we can hear the speakers. As per the IOSH, security measures, the meeting will be logged at 7:50. But I'll request Catherine to, keep watch on, people, because sometimes people get, disconnected because of the network issues, and then they get issues on joining. So, let's be a little flexible on, admitting the people even after the 7:50. So with this, I welcome all the IOSH branch members, new members, all the attendees today and the potential members. Especially I welcome both the speakers and Lawrence Webb, the IOSH Vice President from UK. Today's agenda is I'll be quickly giving you IOSH branch updates, and then we'll move to the IOSH Vice President talk, and then enhanced occupational health and safety session with the followed with the Q&A sessions. So IOSH Oman branch is working since 2013, and it is aligned with the IOSH purposes for the branch, where we are championing on the occupational safety and health. We are doing the collaboration with the different organizations, professionals, and we are helping the members for the professional development. So we are aligned with the IOSH strategy, and we are working with the IOSH 6 priorities, which is non-health related fatalities, occupational cancer, well-being, rehabilitation to work, musculoskeletal disorders, sustainability, and human capital. And working around these priorities, we also look into the core competency network, which is a core competency framework, which is developed by IOSH, and we organize the branch events in alignment with that. We have 239 plus members as a IOSH Oman branch, and we are giving opportunity to our members for the networking with the professionals, meeting with the authorities. We have 14 core committee members, and we are providing the free seminars, branch events, and CPD tools for our members and the other health and safety professionals. We have an impactful presence in Oman, and we have been recognized by the industry, and we are getting regular support for upbringing the health and safety in Oman. We are the key player in providing the platform on the health and safety issues, and which has been recognized by even the government bodies and the businesses. As the IOSH Oman, as on today, we are, as on 31st of January, we were 240 members, where the split is 214 members are male and 21 are female. We have a different, age group, so we have mostly the young population in our branch members. We have 41 people below the 29 age. We have 84 members between 30 to 39, and 73 members between 40 to 49. We have a different membership grade in IOSH branch members. So we have affiliate members, we have chartered members, graduate members, and we have student members recently joined in last 2 years, and we have reached. We got almost 86 new members in last 12 months, especially 6 members joined in 2022. So our branch is, working with the focus of enhance, collaborate, and influence. And with that, we are, collaborating with the different industry experts. And you can see that 2 different experts will be joining us today to share their best practices and to enhance the competence of our, health and safety professionals. So let me now welcome Lawrence Webb. He is the Vice President for IOSH. He's the Chartered Fellow member with a rich 30 years of experience, with the wide exposure to the defense, utilities, infrastructures, transport, logistics, and research and academia, and he's specialized in the construction. Currently, he's serving as the IOSH Vice President, an elect member of council, and he is also member of construction group. Apart from IOSH, he's also member of Institute of Directors and Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment, IEMA. He has done his master's from University of Portsmouth, and he is working as a strategy director for Costain Group. So with this, welcome Lawrence Webb for IOSH Oman Branch event, and over to you to hear from the presidential team what are the IOSH updates and how we can get benefited from you or the IOSH presidential team. Lawrence.
That's great. Thanks. Thanks for the introduction, Nilesh, and hello everybody, wherever you're dialing in from. One of the fantastic things that's happened since we've all turned to Teams and Zoom and what have you is that we truly have a global outreach. So it's great to see so many people coming in from different places to attend your branch session this evening. So what a fantastic introduction. You've already said some of what I was going to say. I've actually been volunteering for IOSH for around 20 years now, and I've been a member for nearly 30 years. So I'm still waiting for that gold watch to be delivered through my home letterbox, and I think I might be in for a long wait. But it's a long time to have been involved in IOSH, and do you know what? As you said, I'm a member of the IOSH construction group. A colleague of mine, Malcolm Shields, who I'm sure some of you know, this used to be his local branch in days gone by. He's the chair of the IOSH construction group now, and it's great to be able to catch up with other people at meetings like this. But I also act as a mentor in the IOSH mentoring scheme, and I can't sell to you enough just how important that scheme is. Exactly as you said, Nilesh, it's all about us supporting one another, helping one another, sharing our experiences and our knowledge, and just be very aware that as a mentor, you get just as much from the experience as you do the mentee. It's a fantastic platform. I've also in the past been involved in the Professional Standards Committee. You mentioned the competency framework and the blueprint system that goes with that. I was involved in that development. I've been an elected member of council, vice president, as you say, and recently had a promotion, if you like, to president-elect. So how lucky I am! What a fantastic opportunity. But my day job, I'm very hands-on, I'm very operational, but my current day job is as the Group Safety, Health and Environment Strategy Director for a UK-based construction and civil engineering company called Costain. Now, the reason I mention that is because I'm not here just representing the IOSH presidential team. I'm here to actually learn and take on board information from yourselves as well, because these are great opportunities to do that. And it was fantastic in looking at what you've been doing as a branch over the last year or so in terms of some of the subject areas that you've been engaged in. So you've looked at COVID. Unfortunately, that's something obviously we've all had to focus on. Health and well-being and the future of work. And there's lots of information on your website in terms of how you're trying to achieve your goals and align with the IOSH strategy, Work 2022, as you said, and also where your influences come from. And it's really pleasing to see how you've built the number of members in your branch, and that I would say is just a show of how much people value the time and the effort that you put in. And this is where I really want to start, because over the years, like many of you, I've volunteered and being a member of the presidential team as a voluntary role, I've seen the first-hand time and effort and dedication and all the hard work that goes into running a branch or a network or a particular sector group. And being a volunteer in general is really hard work. So I think it's right for me, on behalf of the presidential team and Louise Hosking, our current president, to say thank you, because it isn't easy. And I know that you as committee members on the call this evening, the amount of time that you put into planning and preparing and organising these sessions is quite extensive. So a thank you on behalf of the presidential team to you, but also all of you as members who take the time to come along and benefit from these fantastic sessions. So just coming back to Louise's term, Louise Hosking as our president, and what she's focusing on. You can probably see behind me the banner for the Catch the Wave campaign, and I'll come back to that in just a second. But Louise is very, very focused on people, sustainability, and putting the heart into health and safety. And I particularly like this approach because it helps us as a profession move away from what people might think we're interested in, which is everything process. Whereas the way I see the world is I'm interested in everything people and behaviours and good leadership and good management. And that's always been the most important thing for me. But it's also about how we add tremendous value as the OSH profession to the world of work, and all of the organisations you work for and you work with and all the different stakeholders. It's important that they can see the huge range of skills and the breadth of understanding that we bring as a profession. And Louise's key themes really build on that. So just to remind you of what those are. The first is about eliminating risk by design. And this is about creating healthy working environments where diversity of thought is actually enabled. Women in health and safety within the profession is absolutely embraced. And this also ties in with psychological health and safety in the workplace, along with the element of trust that you need, especially in our profession, if we're going to influence. She's also looking at the importance of strong organisational psychological health and safety. So again, this is about generating that culture, a very positive culture where people are empowered to work together, and again, further building on that trust. We're looking at demonstrating specifically how our profession does add that value I mentioned earlier, and how we can drive organisations around the world to be better at what they do with our input, and in particular in developing nations. Also creating a pipeline of successors. Now, not just the next generation, but as I would put it, the next generation. So trying to get into people in the educational system as early as we can to try and develop those new leaders in health and safety, and also volunteers, the volunteer pipeline that is many of you on the call tonight. Building bridges. Now, this is building bridges within our profession across countries, because we are a global professional institution, but also with other like-minded disciplines and organisations where, you know, we can build those relationships and help to collaborate and then subsequently influence. And then finally, OSH and sustainability, as I mentioned, and that does bring me to the Catch the Wave campaign behind me that some of you may have seen. The Networks conference, or perhaps you've come to one of the 3 or so webinars we've already run to actually launch it. Now, what this campaign does is it prioritizes people alongside planet, and it's designed to unlock and demonstrate the unlocking of that huge value that you actually get from the people within our workforces. And IOSH is helping and supporting businesses to harness that value by placing OSH at the heart of everything that they do. And it's important to remember that sustainability is more than just the environmental impacts. I mean, clearly that's important. I do have an environmental background of my own, and I do fully understand the importance. But if you look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, it's much broader as a humanitarian issue. So it's absolutely right and proper that IOSH is putting that front and centre. So for me to finish, because you want to hear from your 2 fine presenters this evening, I just think, again, it's important just to reiterate how much IOSH values the work that you do, and you're the backbone of everything that IOSH has done and everything that IOSH is achieving and will achieve in the future. And you are owed that support from us as a presidential team. So you have 6 vice presidents, the immediate past president in Jimmy Quinn, who I know many of you know, Louise Hosking as our current president, and then myself as the next person in line. And what I'd like to say is that myself, Louise and Jimmy are very much on the same line. There's a golden thread that runs between everything that we want to take forward for IOSH and for you as the membership. So you'll see that consistency in message and what we're actually about. And those key subject areas will be built on and built on and built on. And I think that's really important for you to see the consistency and the fact that we're joined up. So as a presidential team, please remember we're there to help you. We're there to support you. We are ambassadorial in the role that we actually have. So we can do updates, we can do presentations, run campaigns, or run the IOSH campaigns with you and for you. And many of us actually do presentations such as the two you're about to hear from in our own right. So if that is of interest, please get in touch with us via Sunita, who works at head office in Leicester, and you can reach her via sunita.patel@iosh.com. And we look forward to hearing from you. Have a fantastic event, and thank you for the invite.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you for your presidential speech, as well as openness to support the IOSH branch event and support our members. Definitely, we are also looking for the sustainable growth in Oman and enhancing the professionals in Oman. And we have a very young population, especially as a part of our membership, the young student members, the graduate members, and there is a huge potential for them to get benefit from the IOSH mentorship program. So where, expertise like yourself and others can support them. So definitely we are taking it up to support the members, to bring them up to the next level of membership. And we'll be looking forward through Sunita for for our upcoming sessions, how the presidential team and your presentations can, help our members. So once again, thanks on behalf of IOSH Oman Branch Committee and all the members joining today. Thank you for joining us. And with this, thank you, Lawrence. And we'll move to our today's session, which is enhanced occupational health and safety. So today we have selected two topics. One is on the occupational health, which is industrial hygiene, and another is on the occupational safety, which is on the working at height. And we have two speakers joining from the from the industry. They are expert. So the first presentation is by Sheikh Fahad Nasser Bashir Al-Khayomi. He is the senior HSE manager working with the Oman Electricity Transmission Company. He's having a rich experience of working in the different sectors for the network security, skilled in the safety management. He worked in the energy industry. His expertise in the hazard identification, oil and gas, and workplace safety. He's having a strong operations professional background with the bachelor's in occupational health and safety. And I'm personally associated with Sheikh Fahad from last many years. So with this, I request Sheikh Fahad to take forward. Sheikh Fahad. Fahad, are you there? Fahad. I think we lost maybe his connection. I'll try to connect with him. So if Fahad is not around, so let me first call our second presenter. We also have.
Sorry, Neelash, he may have been muted, so he should be back with us again. Beg your pardon.
Okay, Fahad, are you there?
Yes, Nilesh.
Yeah. So yeah, I stopped sharing, and you can start sharing your presentation.
Yeah, sure. So it is there?
Yes, Fahad.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the IOSH team and Mr. Nilesh especially for this opportunity to be here on this meeting. Actually, this meeting, it is the first meeting with the IOSH team here in Oman. We'll start with the introduction about OETC, Oman Electricity Transmission Company, and we'll discuss about OHL transmission lines and challenges which we have, and OETC past incidents, working at OHL safety development and procedure, maintenance of OHL and safety challenges, OETC best practices, then the conclusion of this presentation. Maybe not everyone aware about Oman Electricity Transmission Company. So OETC is the company who regulated company who handling the activities of transmission and dispatching of electricity in Oman with the license granted by Authority of Public Services, APSA. So OTC has 3 levels of high voltage. We have 132 kV, 220 and 400 kV transmission network. And OTC, the business of OTC is to transmission of electricity plus the maintenance and operation of the grid station. This is our OHL, which we are talking now about, and the risk which associated with those activity, starting from the manufacturing and starting from the erection of the towers, plus the maintenance of the towers. During the working on the towers, we have a lot of challenges. In Oman, we are the only company who has the OHL. We have 10 weir, but not that much of overhead lines. But the only companies which we have a lot of overhead lines, and those overhead lines not on the plain area, they are in the hilly terrain areas, which need a lot of resources. So here with challenge, we have some of the lack of the competency of engineers or contractors or subcontractors, where we are difficult to find those people to work in our OHL. We have a lot of mountains, as you know in Oman. We have a lot of mountains where the locations of the overhead lines in the top of the mountain. So the hilly terrain condition is one of the challenges where we need to make access roads. We have to make the maintenance for the equipment and welfare facilities for the workers, where this is the challenge where you need to transport everything there in the top of the mountains to build this OHL. We have also a specific training for the people who are working on this OHL and maintenance of the vehicles and medical services, where, for example, some of the location far away from the hospital and far away from the any facilities for medical. So we have to provide on-site or in-house medical or clinic to help these people and to avoid any serious injury. Then I think everywhere where there is a rescue work, incident should be not, yeah, it can be there. Maybe we can prevent in some levels, but sometime it will happen. We have in 2020 LTI fall by person, but not from high. And in 2020 also we have a slip and trip incident. In 19 also we have one LTI fracture.
What? Are you there? I think his connection is dropped. He will try to reconnect us. Just bear with us. We'll just wait for a couple of seconds for him, and if he is able to rejoin, otherwise we'll move to the second presentation and we'll take the further on later part. This is the challenge what we have when we have the virtual meetings, and if network is the issue. Sure, Fahad will be able to join soon. Yeah, Fahad is here. Yeah. Yeah, welcome Fahad back, and you can start sharing your presentation again, please. Fahad? Yeah.
Sorry, I have
No issue.
internet
Please continue. Please continue.
connection problem. So
No issue. No
let's
issue.
back to the slides. So after this, some of the incidents we worked a lot in the OHL. So we developed and implemented OHL safety guidelines, which give a brief and full standards for the OHL. And we implement by the system, the person who is standing under the tower and watching everyone, who equipped with the speaker and monitoring of the weather. So this person, he's the focal point to monitor all the people all the linemans. And every lineman should go for the medical screening. So the person who is climbing on the OHL should go for medical screening, where we have to check his fitness to work in the OHL. And we implement 4 hours only for the people to climb on the OHL. Then they have to come down and have a rest. Also availability of the first aid, like emergency vehicle, first aid kits, and everything, all the communication also to be there. This is some of the full body harness where we developed a lot on this. So we instructed the contractors to provide lunch box to everyone. So the people, they don't need to go to the welfare facility or to their camp and come back again. So which is give them a lot of stress, or so they have to provide the food there at site for them. And also we maintain 3-point contact. That's mean 2 hands with 1 feet, or 2 feet with 2 hands. So this is a lot of training done for the workers to implement those activities. And also availability of rescue kit. Rescue kit is very important. That and the most important, people should be trained on the rescue kit to rescue the people in the towers. Best practices which we did in the OHL. I think this is good to share with everyone. So maybe it will be helpful to everyone to implement somewhere on the for best practices. So we use of steel structure hook. So that hook to be bigger, so the person can hook on the tower special activities. So he can hook it easily. So, and we implement 2-day external training. So this training specific for the people for the OHL. So we have a consultant. So a consultant evaluate the training at site. And medical screening, as I said in the previous slide, so they should go under medical screening and ensure standby vehicle or ambulance, ensure the rescue kit and first aider and first aid equipment available at the work location, available of communication devices. In some areas, you cannot find the network. So we have to provide the walkie-talkies, satellite phones, and other equipments. We modify some steps bolts in the tower, so the person who climb on the towers, he can easily find the steps on the tower. And of course, the best the welfare facilities. This is where I mean the hooks, which is easy. It can be hooked on the tower. This one on the tower. And here we have the step bolts where we made it to make it easy for the person to climb on the tower. And also for falling objects. So we have one incident for falling object from height. So we provide tools or bags for all the tools to be with the person and keep the materials away from the edge, remove item from all the loose or
We have again some network issue with Fahad. Just bear with us. He'll be joining soon. Again, get the network. Just to update till the Fahad joined back, the OETC have the majority of the working at height, and they have learned a lot with the different incidents, and they have developed these, specific requirement for working at height, which Fahad is sharing with us. Hopefully he will join soon to us. If you have any questions to Fahad, you please, send your questions in the chat box. I'll be taking it up with him. There are best practices which, Fahad has implemented in the Oman, electricity and transmission company. Specific, procedure for the working at height, specific requirements on the working at height, especially, the management of change they have implemented by design change on the hooks. So these are some of the, exemplary things which, they learn from the different incidents. So Felicia, I wish Fahad joined back again and he continue with his presentation. Normally when we talk about working at height, we see people working on the scaffoldings or working on a high structures. But the Fahad, what he's talking about is working on the, towers where, people are having a challenge, working in the remote locations, working on the high hilly terrains, working for the overhead line in the distance where, there is nothing nearby. And that's why he covered, the different requirements in terms of welfare, in terms of medical requirement. Yeah, Fahad is back with us. Yeah, over to you, Fahad. Yeah, Fahad.
yeah, Nilesh, I will stop the video. Maybe it will be good for that.
You can continue
Okay.
without video.
Okay, now we'll talk about the safe use of hand tools. So we provide some tools that to make it safely for the workers to handle the tools. And when we came to the color, so here we have the safety alerts, and we have the colors. So there is special color for everyone. So here we have the supervisor, and here we have buddy system, and we have here the lineman. And this is the tool bags which we advise the contractor to provide for each worker. Here we have some materials where we are using at site. So we have here the speaker for this is the body system, and he has the speaker where he can call the people whom not following the HSC procedure. Here the weather monitoring, where we can monitor the wind, and noise monitoring and lux monitoring, and this is one type of the rescue kits. So here we have maintenance also of OHL. So OHL maintenance, it is also one of the challenges. So we have to follow the SSR rules, system safety rules, where they will be required a shutdown to complete the works. And competent person should be available there, and lifeline tester should be available and test the lines before starting. Also to make it sure to make the colors for the dead and live circuits. Primary and additional earth should be provided as per the scope of work. The competent lineman should be allowed to clamp on the OHL towers. Nobody should be allowed to clamp. Safety clearance document should be available with risk assessment and method statement. Body system should be available at site, and we have to make sure also the emergency facility available at site. So for the conclusion, we have tough OHL works in OETC, and we worked a lot to develop a lot of procedure, a lot of training developed for that, and alhamdulillah, last 2 years, alhamdulillah, there is no any major incidents or fatalities where we reached to a lot of million safe man hours during the OHL activities. I'm so sorry about the breaking for the internet. And here, this is the final of my presentation. As OETC, we are committed to provide a safe environment and secure environment for our workers, for our contractor and consultant, and to transmit the electricity safely to all Oman. If there is any questions, I'm ready to answer, Nilesh.
Thank you, Sheikh Fahad, for your brief presentation, and no apologies, because we know these internet issues, technical issues are there. We have a couple of questions, so thanks for highlighting the OETC initiatives on making the people safe while doing this critical activity of working at height, especially working on the remote locations, working on the high terrain. I have one question from here, Fauzi. The question is, when you talk about the rescue kit, it is a rescue kit for say, rescuing from the height, or it is a rescue kit for the electric shock also?
No, it is a rescue kit to rescue the people from the height. Like if you know the hiking, so the hiking, they have a rescue kit. So this is the same, but it is developed to rescue the people from the OHL, from overhead lines.
So when you have a tower, when you have a two circuit lines, and one is live and one is dead, and if there is a live area, and because of that, if there is any electrocution, any specific requirement on that rescue?
Yeah, we have.
First, you can switch off your camera so that you have a connectivity. I wish Fahad can join back. Anyway, I'll take these questions to Fahad, once he joins back. But with this, I think we'll move forward. Thanking the. Fahad, are you there? Great. So anyway, thanks to Fahad for his presentation, and all the questions which are parked in the chat box, I'll be taking it up with him. With this, let me welcome our second speaker. We have Mr. Mohammed Al Busaidi, who is with a vast 30 years of experience working as a senior industrial hygienist with the British Petroleum. Mr. Busaidi is holding a master's degree in occupational hygiene and practice from the University of Wollongong. He values life and equality of safe working environment for all. He's passionate about his profession, especially the safety and health, and he lead him to the specialized as a hygienist. He is committed to ensure a healthy working environment for everyone through inspiring the people and educating. And this is the reason he humbly accepted our request for joining us as a speaker. And normally in most of the sessions we talk about the safety, and we overlook on the occupational health part, or especially the hygiene part. So let me welcome Sheikh Mohammed Al Busaidi. Sheikh, welcome to this event, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Nilesh, for the introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good afternoon for our colleagues from UK. Let me start by a question. In your opinion, what are the most common occupational illnesses? The International Labour Organization estimate sum of 2.3 million work-related deaths annually. This is corresponding to over 6,000 deaths every single day. A recent World Health Organization study estimates the health impact burden of occupational illnesses is up to 60% arised from the health hazards, and 40% are from injuries. This illustrates the importance role of HSE professionals, including industrial hygienists, in a workplace. So, by the end of this session, I hope you will be able to have a better understanding of the industrial hygienist rules, and you will be able to identify some types of health hazards in a workplace. You will have a better understanding of the occupational exposure limits and their limitations, and will be able to describe strategies to control health hazards. OSHA defines industrial hygiene as a science and art devoted to anticipation, recognition, evaluation, and control of environmental factors or stresses or risks that arise from a workplace, which may lead to sickness, illnesses, impair health for the workers and the community also. It is considered as science because it uses scientific methods to evaluate and to do their job to mitigate those risks. But it's also an art because it requires a judgment and creativity and human interactions to manage such risks. And these stresses are categorized in different categories. They are divided in 5 main categories. So chemicals, physicals, biological, ergonomics, and psychosocial health hazards. The chemical hazards are the most of the substance that's been used in any workplace. They have a lot of different range of effects that impact the health, starting from mild, such as irritations and mild asthma attacks and so on, and it can go to moderate ones, mild asthma attacks or burns. It can go to a severe illnesses such as cancers, and it can lead to death. So that's the first category of the health hazards. The other category is the physical health hazards, and the hazards arising from the energy force that's coming from different activities, such as the radiations, whether it is ionizing or non-ionizing radiations, the thermal, whether it is heat or cold, noise, which can lead to noise-induced hearing loss and damage, ultraviolets, vibrations, which can lead to a lot of health illnesses and diseases depending on the exposure. The third is the biological hazards, and this is as bacteria that can cause food poisoning, okay, especially if the food's not well managed and protected and kept in the correct temperature to preserve it for the people to eat. Fungi, which can lead to allergies, and viruses such as the pandemic that's going for the time being, and we are suffering it for the last 2 years, and toxins that can come from poisons such as snakes or scorpions or any other animals, wild animals. And one of the most common health hazards is the ergonomics, whether it is an office ergonomics or it is arising from manual handling, pushing, lifting, repeated movements, and also a bad design of the facilities that could lead to such health issues and problems for the workers or people who using those equipments. And musculoskeletal disease is one of the common occupational illnesses. The fifth health hazard is the psychosocials, and that's the stress and the anxieties that's come, especially with this pandemic that we have. As to the UK statistics last year, it's 50% of the occupational illnesses reported is due to mental health issues, stress and anxiety and depression at work areas. And with such health hazards, an occupational hygienist has to have a vast knowledge of the exposure route of such hazards and how they infect or impact the people. So he will be able to decide on what the best control to be in place. So the route of entry or exposure are grouped in 4 categories. The common and the most wide, it's the inhalations, okay? And the second one is the absorption through skin or mucous membrane of the nose, eyes, or the mouth. The third route is injection, whether it is a process or through accidents. For example, if a high pressurized liquid could be injected through the skin. The last one is ingestion, whether it is accidentally or intentionally or unintentional ingestion, okay, through bad hygiene practice or not proper hygiene considerations of taking foods at the workplace that it is contaminated and so on. The other concepts of one of the most important concepts is the occupational exposure limits. These limits are been used to enforce the law, but they have some limitation, and we have to understand those limitations. Different countries give them a different terminology. The United States, they use the PEL, the permissible exposure limits. Another organization, American also, the American Congress of Governmental Industrial Hygienists, they use the threshold limits value. In UK, they called workplace exposure limits. So, but these limits are set to, they represent the maximum airborne concentration of a toxic substance to which a worker could be exposed to without him being affected healthily for a period of a time, okay? And it's depending of a lot of things, such as the chemical properties or the substance property, experimental study that's been conducted to evaluate the such toxicity, toxicology and epidemiological studies or data that's been collected for such chemicals, okay. Some chemicals, they don't have, or the limit is not, it was not set for those chemicals yet, but it doesn't mean that that chemical is safe. It only means that there is no sufficient data that to set that limit for such chemicals. The other element of it is special for hygienists, is the time-weighted average. And that's considered the time that a worker could be exposed for a full shift of 8 hours every day for 40 hours a week for the whole 40 years without him getting adverse or impact health. And the second one is the STEL, which is the short time exposed limit. This is an exposure for a period of 15 minutes during, for example, an incident. A person could be exposed to that limit. So if we take an example, for example, for benzene, as we are using the ACGIH limits for benzene is 0.5 ppm. For the still, short 15 minutes exposure for the same benzene, it will be 2.5 ppm. The ceiling, it is the absolute and maximum level of exposure not to be exceeded. And that will bring us to the evaluation method that's been used by industrial hygienes to measure the airborne concentration of whatever substance that it is. So it will start with a walkthrough to have a better understanding of the processes itself, to have interview with the people and supervisors to get a better understanding of the activities and processes that's been conducted, and to pinpoint the source of exposure. Then after pinpoint the source of exposure and know the roots of it, then we starting the monitoring. It could be either by a direct reading instruments or passive and active sampling methods. The active sampling is by using a pump at a breathing zone of a personal, and that will be a personal sampling, or it could be a static sampling where we take a measurement at the source of the exposure. After collecting all the data, then we do our research and compare the results with the exposure limits to know, are we exposing our worker, or the workers are exposed to that hazards, or they are below exposure. And that also will determine the controls that we need to put in place to mitigate the risk and make the work environment safer for the workers. And that will bring us to the hierarchy of controls and the controls that we need to be implemented and put in place to mitigate those risks. So as you can see from the slides, the hierarchy of control, the top of the chart is the most effective controls. And when we going down to the bottom of the chart, that will be the least effective controls. Eliminations, okay, that's the best, and can we get rid of that risk? Sometimes we can't, so we substitute it with another, for example, if it's a chemical, with another chemical that can do the same job but less hazardous. For example, the benzene, when we talk, it's a carcinogen. So if that's been used in any activity, can we use toluene instead of it? Also, another substitution is process itself. A process of sweeping a powder that's hazardous, which will generate cloud of dust. Okay, can we use vacuum instead of sweeping the chemical or the powders and so on? Okay, so that's a substitution. Then we come to engineering controls, and this is divided into 3 elements. Enclosure, okay, and can we enclose the process or take it far away from the workers, or whereas less workers working, so not a majority of workers exposed to it, or isolation, okay? And the least is the ventilation, whether it is a general ventilation or local exhaust ventilation to mitigate that risk. Administrative controls, this is a range of a lot of things. Mainly they are to reduce the exposure time, such as rotating of the workers, put policies and procedures in place, ensure conformance to the national and local regulations, training of people on the hazards, and make them know what is the controls in place and what's the limitation of such controls. And least and not last is the PPE. It is at the bottom of the pyramid, as it is the least effective, and as it is rely on human, and it's coming to in a different shape, different sizes, and so on. So that's why it is at the least of the hierarchy of controls. Having industrial hygiene in a workplace have its benefits, okay? It's improve the health and hygiene at a workplace, which will reduce the absenteeisms of people and improve the satisfaction of job satisfaction of people in the workplace. It will also lead to increase the productivity of the workforce. It will improve the work attitude toward management, as they know that the managements are taking all the steps to take care of them and to protect them and ensure them going back home to their families safe and healthy. And it will reduce the compensations that arise from exposures to occupational illnesses. A takeaway from this session, the main goal of industrial hygienists in a workplace is to protect people. It's not policing, rather than to find ways to protect people and the community and make them healthy and safe. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Sheikh Mohammed, for your very good presentation. We learned a lot, especially the different terminology, the importance of industrial hygiene, because normally people talk about that the major cause of the incidents or injuries are the safety related incidents, and very less weightage is given for the occupational health or hygiene. And but in last 2 years, the scenario has changed and world has learned a lot from this pandemic. So the question to you is, what are the best practices, or what are the initiatives you has taken in your British Petroleum Oman operation with respect to the industrial hygiene, especially considering the pandemic or the COVID impact?
Related to COVID and the pandemic, I think among all the companies in Oman oil in energy sectors, BP took the most dramatic actions to mitigate the risk of COVID to sites. So we required to do 5 days hotel quarantine before coming. First, we required to do a PCR before going to hotel for quarantine. We completed a 5 days quarantine, do a second PCR before going to site. And none of the oil companies took that dramatic actions, but BP was the leading on that side. Site-wise, a lot of activities was held at the beginning of the pandemic, such socializing, such as majlis, such as the common games and so on. But then we risk assess those and open them gradually with the risk assessment in place to allow people to looking at the well-being of people and the mental health in remote areas. The face mask and hand sanitizing and hygienes that's in place all through. Those are some of the actions that BP took to mitigate that risk. I hope I answered you.
Great. Thank you, Sheikh Mohammed. There's a question in the chat box that what is the role of HRA plays in assessing the industrial hygiene control measures?
The HR, from us, we have the compliance with the regulation, the national regulations and requirements, the law requirements in the country. And we, in a compliance, we have to answer and to report to them that we have all the controls that requires compliance in place, and we have to provide evidence to them so they communicate that to the regulatory authority.
No, the question is on the health risk assessment. So what is the role of health risk assessment it plays when assessing the industrial hygiene control measures? So whether it is only on the occupational health or it is also occupational hygiene.
Yeah, okay. The risk assessment, it will considers all. It will consider the health, the occupational part of it, and the safety parts of it. So normally during a risk assessment, we as a hygienist will be involved with the safety advisors during risk assessments of the activities at site.
So just an added question to that is, what is the difference between occupational health and industrial hygiene?
Okay, it is the American terminology and the UK terminology. So the Canada and USA, they call it occupational hygiene. UK and other parts of the world, Australia, they call it industrial hygiene.
There is a question that you talk about the different terminology from the different countries or different exposure limit. So what is the occupational exposure limit followed in Oman? Which is standard, whether TLV or STEL or what?
It's depend. Each company, as it's not required by which each company follow different standards. I prefer the American ICIGH because it is fast adapting to the new studies. So, for example, the Osha limits, they take ages, even though there is a research that's proved that a substance, it is toxic. It takes ages for them to be considered because of the legal requirements that come to enforce such limits. And as the American Congress of Governmental Industrial Hygienists, they are revolved and they are quick adapt to the new research and the findings, the outcome of the peer studies, and which that's the one we following in BP.
Thank you, Sheikh. There's another question that we have a lot of young Omanis joined today. So what is your message to them? And do we have the enough qualified industrial hygienists available in the country? And if so, whether there is any plan or program for young Omanis to be trained in this area?
To tell you the truth, in the country, we really lack industrial hygienists, okay? There is full hands of certified and competent industrial hygienists in the country. And that's one of the area challenges that we are facing, okay? It is really a wide areas to specialized in and very interesting one actually. It requires a mass knowledge and skillful in different type of knowledge, engineerings to imply the controls, administratives to manage and communication skills, know the health effects and how those health hazards impact people. So it's really a mass and very interesting field that I really encourage people to look into and committed to. When we're talking about the trainings that's available, I believe the big companies that they have internal trainings and they have, for example, like BP, they have a challenging positions that they offers to new HSE advisors and comers to the field. Other company also, the PDO and OQ, I believe also they have such but it is one of the challenging areas that's to have such educations or that is not available with us at the moment.
As an operator, you have a different contractors, subcontractors working, and many of them, they give the common responsibility to the HSE advisor, which takes a part of for the occupational health and environment. So do you feel face any challenges, especially dealing for the industrial hygiene or occupational health with them?
Definitely, yes. There is some challenges because the thing is with their background, the safety background, they will always focus more on safety hazards and not health hazards. And there is a challenging there always. As we know that there is no sufficient industrial hygienists in the region, so we support them to our maximum and direct them. And a lot of them actually starting to pick up and have some knowledge of such hazards.
Any last message for the boardroom where, on the cost control, they don't put the industrial hygienist on board in the organization. So any, cost benefit analysis, message from you to the boardroom?
Yes, as I mentioned of the benefits of the industrial hygiene programs in any workplace, it's really will increase the productivity of the workers and reduce absenteeisms. And yes, they may be an initial high costs to invest, but when it's you are looking on the long run and the savings that industrial hygienes brought to the corporation or organizations, it's really worth to invest. And by the end of the day, we are looking and care for our employees and our community.
So, there's one more question. Industrial hygiene is taken care if you have an experienced HSE professionals. Great. Great. So thank you, Sheikh Mohammed, for attending today. I'll just request you to stop sharing your slide, and I can start sharing mine.
Yep.
Great. So just give me a minute. Yeah. Great. So with this, we come to end on the today's session, and I'll just give you the update that we have a branch event on every third Wednesday of every month, and during this branch event, we have a presentation, CPD, IPD sessions. Also, we have a panel discussions. Our next event will be the next Wednesday on in the March 18th, and after that we'll have the IOSH Oman Branch AGM on the 18th of May. We are also joining with the Global HSE 2022, which is 16th to 19th of May. So you can block your calendar for every third Wednesday to join our branch events, which we are publicizing time to time through our committee mailer. Also, you can see the updates on the IOSH branch, IOSH website, where you have the details on the IOSH webinars. So with this, let me thank Engineer Fahad Nasser Al-Khayomi for joining today. I'll be sending this certificate as a token of thanksgiving to him. Also thanks to Sheikh Mohammed Al-Busaidi for joining us and enlightening us on, especially on the industrial hygiene. Definitely the age part doesn't get much value, especially when we talk about the unorganized sector or the small companies. Okay, companies like BP or PD or OQ, they have a more focus on age part also. But by this presentation, I think members have got enlightened on the industrial hygiene requirement, and definitely, it will help them. And if there is any other support required, definitely we'll be coming forward to you, Sheikh Mohammed. So as a token of thanks for, accepting our invitation for being as a speaker and giving us valuable information, I'll be sending this e-certificate to you. Thank you for joining today. So as a IOSH Oman branch, we always try to keep, our members at the heart. We try to support our members. We ensure that through our branch presence, we support them. We help them the platform to reach to the industries, operators, and SMEs. We also have a collaboration with the different, OPAL or ICM and different authorities. We are trying to liaison with the government authorities and bring them on board. And we are also reaching to the schools and colleges or to the student members, so we can support them. And we all working together with the IOSH 2022 strategy with the theme of enhance, collaborate, and influence. Just to remind all the members, you can make use of IOSH Blueprint Framework. It is a very good tool for competency development. You can also use the framework developed for the competency development, which is focused on the technical, behavioral, and the core competency skills required for any health and safety professionals. Even as an organization, you can use it for your employees, for their development, and for their assessment. You can also, as Lawrence was telling that he's also one of the mentor, and I also registered as a IOSH mentor. So you can reach and you can use the IOSH mentoring scheme. If you are an experienced health and safety professional, you can use mentoring scheme and become a mentor for any younger professionals. Or if you are a young or new to the profession, you can make use through this IOSH mentoring scheme and reach out to any mentors who can support you to develop your career as a health and safety professional. So we are also supporting members in sorting out their issues with respect to the support from the head office or any their CPD IPD requirements. So you can reach out to our committee members. We have Suleiman Al-Sulemi, who is our vice chair, and he's also in the speaker and presentation committee. We have Mr. Mohammed Muzab Al-Sawafi. He is a member who is supporting for the IPD and CPD. So you can reach out to our committee members who will be very much happy to support you for any type of your queries or any support required from the IOSH Oman branch. So with this, again to remind, the things are improving. Most of us are got vaccinated. Even we have started getting the booster dose. The numbers are coming down, but still there is a time, high time to keep all the controls in place to protect ourselves from all the COVID requirement. Ensure you are if you are not got the booster dose, you try to get that. stay safe. And with this, thank you everybody for joining. See you soon in the next event. And I'll be happy to get your feedback through the IOSH survey, which you'll be receiving by email. So you can give your feedback how we can improve more. And if you are having any topics in mind which we should be bringing in the future events, we'll be happy to take that. So thank you again once again for joining, especially to the team joining from the different parts of the world. And thank you once again from the IOSH Oman Branch Committee, and have a good night.